Today we're talking about something that's been making waves in the travel community lately. Bangkok, the city of angels, the capital of Thailand, once crowned the most visited city in the entire world just last year with over 32 million tourists, is now seeing something pretty alarming. Hotel occupancy has dropped to 75%, and in some months it's been as low as 69%. Chinese tourists, who used to flood this city by the millions, have vanished, down 35% in the first half of 2025. And before you say 75% isn't that bad, let me tell you, when you've got 5,000 plus new hotel rooms opening in a single year and more competition than ever, that's a problem. Hotels are fighting for survival. But before we dive in, I need your help with something. If you're listening right now, help me prove something wrong. My mom said I'd never reach 1,000 subscribers, but I believe stories like this deserve to be heard. Help me show her that these stories matter. So please subscribe and let's keep giving a voice to stories that were never meant to be silent. Now, let's continue. Now, don't get me wrong, Bangkok isn't dead, far from it, but there are cracks showing, and if you're planning a trip here or you're just curious about what's happening to one of the world's most iconic cities, buckle up. We're going deep. Let's start with the facts, because clickbait aside, the data tells a fascinating story. In 2024, Bangkok was literally number one, the most visited city on planet Earth. 32.4 million international visitors. Hotels were printing money. Tourism generated over 1.2 trillion baht. Everything looked perfect from the outside, but fast forward to 2025 and suddenly things aren't so rosy anymore. Overall, Thailand tourism is down almost 10% compared to last year. Bangkok specifically, hotel occupancy dropped 3.7 percentage points in the first half of 2025. January and February started strong, over 81% occupancy, but by June, just 69.8%, the lowest monthly rate in over a year. And here's where it gets interesting. While occupancy is dropping, average room prices went up slightly to 4,260 baht per night. So hotels are charging more, but fewer people are showing up. That's not a sustainable business model, my friends. Over 5,100 new hotel rooms opened in Bangkok in 2025 alone, the fastest growth since COVID. So you've got more hotels competing for fewer tourists. It's like opening 10 new pizza shops on the same street while everyone's going gluten-free. The math just doesn't work. So here's the million-dollar question. Where did all the tourists go? China used to be Bangkok's biggest customer. We're talking millions of tourists every year. In the first half of 2025 alone, Chinese arrivals to Bangkok dropped by nearly 30%. That's massive. Why? Well, there are a few theories. First, safety concerns. There have been high-profile incidents involving Chinese tourists in Thailand that got blown up on Chinese social media. Second, economic issues back home. China's economy isn't what it used to be, and people are tightening their belts. Third, and this is the kicker, they're going elsewhere. Vietnam welcomed 2.7 million Chinese tourists. Japan, 3.1 million. Suddenly, Bangkok has competition, and the Chinese tourism market, which used to be a guaranteed gold mine, is shopping around for better deals. But it's not just China. South Korea, another huge market for Bangkok, is also way down. Meanwhile, India and Russia are growing, but they're not spending as much money per trip. So you're replacing high-spending tourists with budget-conscious ones. Again, not great for those hotel bottom lines. The luxury hotels? They're doing relatively okay. The budget hotels? They're fine too. But the mid-range hotels, the backbone of Bangkok's hotel industry, are getting absolutely crushed. They're competing with each other on price, new hotels keep opening, and their traditional customer base has evaporated. Now let's talk about something you literally cannot ignore if you visit Bangkok these days. The air quality, or should I say the lack of air quality. In January 2025, Bangkok's PM 2.5 pollution hit 108 micrograms per cubic meter. To put that in perspective, the safe limit is 37.5. Bangkok was briefly ranked as having the world's fourth worst air quality. At one point, it was number one. Not the kind of achievement you want to brag about. The government had to close 350 schools. They offered free public transportation for a week. to discourage people from driving. They deployed street-spraying trucks to literally wash the pollution out of the air. It was apocalyptic. And here's the thing, this isn't a one-time event. Bangkok has been dealing with worsening air pollution since 2019. The culprits? 60% of it comes from traffic. Cars, trucks, buses, tuk-tuks, even those diesel-powered canal boats spewing black smoke. Another chunk comes from agricultural burning in nearby provinces, farmers torching their fields to clear them, and all that smoke just settles over the city. Add in construction dust, factory emissions, and Bangkok's geography, which is like a basin that traps all this pollution. And you've got yourself a toxic soup. In 2023, over 10 million Thais sought treatment for air pollution-related illnesses. 10 million. That's not a small problem. That's a public health crisis. Now, imagine you're planning a vacation. You're scrolling through Instagram looking at beautiful photos of Bangkok, the Grand Palace, the floating markets, the street food. And then you see a news headline. Bangkok air pollution reaches hazardous levels. Are you still excited about that trip? Probably not. All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Or should I say the tuk-tuk in the tourist trap. Bangkok has a bit of a reputation problem, and it's gotten so bad that in 2025, a study by Compare the Market ranked Bangkok as the #1 city in the world for pickpocketing and tourist scams. Number 1. Out of 50 major tourist cities globally, the Grand Palace, one of Bangkok's most iconic landmarks, was flagged as the worst tourist attraction in the world for scams and theft. Wat Pho and Chatuchak Weekend Market also made the list. Congratulations, Bangkok. That's definitely the kind of press that makes tourists feel warm and fuzzy inside. Let's be fair. Scams exist everywhere. Paris has pickpockets. New York has fake monks. Rome has gladiators charging for photos. But Bangkok? Bangkok has perfected the art form. The Grand Palace closure scam. Oh, so sorry, the palace is closed today for special ceremony, but I know a very good temple, very cheap. Come with me? Then you end up at an overpriced gem shop where the tuk-tuk driver gets a commission. The gem scam. Speaking of gems, this one's legendary. A friendly local tells you about a government-sponsored one-day sale on precious stones. You can buy them cheap and resell them for a huge profit back home. Except they're glass, and you just spent $5,000 on fake sapphires. The meter scam. Taxi driver refuses to turn on the meter, or the meter is broken, or it's mysteriously running 3 times faster than normal. The jet ski scam. You rent a jet ski in Pattaya, return it, and suddenly it has a scratch you didn't notice. That'll be $2,000 in damages, thank you very much. Yes, they keep your passport as collateral. According to a MasterCard study from May 2025, a whopping 48% of reported fraud cases in Bangkok involve taxis and car rentals. Compare that to Hong Kong or Barcelona, where the figure is just 2%. The tourist police hotline, 1155, is one of the most called numbers in Bangkok. That tells you something. Look, most people who visit Bangkok have a great time and never encounter a scam. But the perception is out there now, and in the age of social media, one viral video of a tourist getting ripped off can do more damage than 1,000 positive reviews. If the air quality and scams weren't enough, let's talk about Bangkok's infrastructure, or lack thereof. Bangkok is consistently ranked as one of the most congested cities in the world. We're talking sitting in traffic for an hour to go 3 kilometers. The average Bangkokian loses days of their life each year just sitting in gridlock. There's a joke that you don't measure distance in Bangkok by kilometers. You measure it in hours. How far is the airport? Oh, about 2 hours. But it's only 30 kilometers. Exactly. Now imagine you're a tourist. You have 3 days in Bangkok. You want to see the temples, the markets, the nightlife. And you spend half your vacation staring at the bumper of a bus. Not exactly the exotic adventure you had in mind. And then there are the floods. Bangkok sits basically at sea level. The city is sinking. Climate change is making rainfall more intense. The drainage system is from, well, let's just say it's not exactly state-of-the-art. In 2025, several areas of Bangkok were hit by severe flooding after heavy rains. Streets turned into rivers, businesses shut down, schools closed. The city basically came to a halt. This isn't an occasional thing. It happens multiple times a year during rainy season. Some neighborhoods are semi-permanently flooded from July to October. Again, if you're planning a vacation, are you going to choose the city that might be underwater when you arrive, or are you going to book that trip to Vietnam instead? Here's where the economics get really interesting. Remember those 5,000 plus new hotel rooms I mentioned earlier? Well, they're not just any hotels. We're talking about major brands. Grand Center Point, 4 Points by Sheraton, Amman Radisson Queensland Hotels, The Quarter. Everyone saw Bangkok's 2024 numbers and thought, yeah, this is a gold rush. We need to get in on this. Except they all had the same idea at the same time. It's like everyone decided to open a coffee shop on the same block simultaneously. Here's what happens. You have more hotel rooms than ever, but you have fewer tourists than last year. Basic supply and demand tells us that prices should drop, right? Well, some hotels are trying to maintain their rates. That's why the average daily rate went up slightly, but their occupancy is tanking. Other hotels are slashing prices to fill rooms, which forces everyone else to cut prices too. It's a race to the bottom. The mid-range segment is getting absolutely demolished. Luxury hotels, they're fine. Rich people will always travel. Budget hostels, also fine. Backpackers will always find the cheapest bed. But that middle tier, they're stuck. Not fancy enough to charge premium prices, not cheap enough to compete with hostels. And their traditional customer base, Chinese tour groups, has disappeared. Industry experts predict this oversupply will continue to put downward pressure on prices throughout 2025 and into 2026. Some hotels will inevitably close. Others will be forced to convert to different uses or sell at a loss. All right, so we've dumped on Bangkok for almost 20 minutes. Let's talk solutions. What does Bangkok need to fix to win back tourists? First, clean up the air. Literally. The pollution problem isn't going away on its own. Bangkok needs serious investment in public transportation. The BTS and MRT are great, but they don't go everywhere. Electric buses, bike lanes that people actually feel safe using. Stricter emissions standards for vehicles. This isn't rocket science. Other major cities have figured it out. The government is implementing new diesel emission standards and pushing for electric vehicles, but it needs to happen faster. You can't market yourself as a world-class destination when visitors need to wear masks outside. Second, crack down on scams. The Thai government needs to take tourist scams seriously, not just the tourist police hotline, but actual enforcement, undercover operations, severe penalties for businesses caught scamming tourists. Make an example out of the worst offenders. Better yet, make it easier for tourists to report scams with an app that actually works and leads to real consequences. Create a rating system for taxis and tour operators. Reward honest businesses. Third, fix the infrastructure. Traffic and flooding aren't sexy problems to solve, but they matter. More efficient public transport, better urban planning, flood defenses, drainage systems. These are investments that pay dividends for decades. Fourth, diversify the market. Stop relying so heavily on one source of tourists. Yes, Chinese tourists spend money, but when that market collapses, so does your entire tourism industry. Focus on attracting tourists from India, the Middle East, Europe, Australia. Spread the risk. Different marketing strategies for different demographics. Wellness tourism for Europeans, medical tourism for Middle Easterners, adventure tourism for Australians, business tourism for everyone. Fifth, slow down on hotel development. This is tough because developers gonna develop, but maybe Bangkok doesn't need another 3,000 hotel rooms next year. The market needs time to absorb what's already been built. Focus on quality over quantity. Make the existing hotels better rather than building new mediocre ones. Sixth, improve the guest experience. At the end of the day, people visit Bangkok because it's amazing. The food, the culture, the nightlife, the people. Double down on what makes Bangkok special. Clean up the tourist areas. Train service staff. Make it easier for tourists to have a good time, not harder. So is Bangkok dead? Absolutely not. Will hotels go empty? No, but some will definitely struggle. Bangkok is still one of the most vibrant, exciting, delicious, and affordable cities in Asia. The fundamentals are still there, but the city is at a crossroads. The golden era of unstoppable tourism growth is over. Now comes the hard part, adapting, improving, and competing in a world where tourists have endless options. The truth is, Bangkok doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be better than it was yesterday. Address the pollution, crack down on scams, fix the infrastructure. The tourists will come back, but only if Bangkok gives them a reason to choose it over Vietnam, Japan, or any other destination competing for their attention. Have you been to Bangkok recently? What was your experience? Let me know in the comments. And if you found this video helpful, smash that like button and subscribe for more travel reality checks. See you in the next one.